And just to go off that, then, like, talk about the modern, bring from back in the day with romantics to what we have in 2023. How do you think relationships are affected by the idea of romanticism? Or even easier question, why do you think we get into relationships? Why do you think it's even a thing these days?
Mm. Hmm. I mean, with romanticism and stuff, it's everyone has a fantasy, right? Everyone has that, fantasy that wants to come true, or that you try to kind of miracle into existence by doing things you don't really want to, or doesn't feel right, or but then sometimes it just happens naturally. You'll just end up in the right place in the right time with the right person in the right location. Sometimes it just happens, and sometimes people just are not patient enough to wait for it. And I think that's a lot of that's kind of what happens in a lot of these romantic stories and poems and stuff. People have this fantasy of someone, they put them on a pedestal, and sometimes all the good things you think about someone may not be true, but it's up to you to accept it or not.
So here's a question then on that. Do you think the way romantics look at love and at people is bad for relationships, for like actual proper relationships? Because like you said, you put them on a pedestal, you talk about how they smell like roses, and how do you keep that? You have to obviously change that, like how do you think that is affect? How does that not help when it comes to realistic practical love?
I think that basically I think that a lot of times relationships, they would look at these artists and stuff and look for inspiration, right? Sorry. I was talking about basically, okay, well actually we'll stick with that, two sides, right? You have your persona and your personality, right? A lot of the time people will show their personas in real life, and that's what people fall in love with, is their persona.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, go on.
Right, so you'll fall in love with the face, and the whole thing about people saying how don't judge a book by its cover, that's true. But it happens a lot because the book of the cover may just be your persona that you're putting out. People don't really know you until this is why divorce always happens in like the early marriages, because they know their real selves now and they don't like it, so then they end up just splitting off.
How do you tell the difference between someone's persona and personality?
Well, with the personas, usually you can tell because they're different with different people, right? So you'll have people who act differently with you compared to how they are at the family or with their friends. What I've noticed is that people are actually more honest with their friends because their family, it's like in some cases you are putting on a persona to your family because you want to be accepted and included. And you see your parents as someone who protects you, and you want them to love you.
Absolutely.
It's like a survival instinct.
Absolutely.
With your friends, they choose you because you have the same values and same morals. Whether you like it or not, even if you don't like them, and you still hang out with them, there's something inside them that calls to you, that you relate to, which is something that shadow work can help you with, and poetry. And I think the question was before about how relationships is with romantics.
So I can answer the question. Yeah, it's like you've actually answered that one. So the next question was actually better question than to simplify it. What do you think romance is dead? Do you think the idea of romantic relationship, the idea of all these like love stories that you read in books, do you think that's dead? Do you think now we live in a more realistic era where it's just people doing what they need to do to survive, or getting their desire off each other?
I don't think romance is dead. I considered myself a bit of a hopeless romantic for the longest time.
Same.
I think it does depend on who you are, because some people do think that romance is dead, but I do think it's just because their idea of what love is distorted. They're not following what they truly believe is romance, but they're looking at things like Pride and Prejudice and Love Island. I haven't actually seen it, but
two very different things.
That's what I'm saying. Like they'll look at those things and they'll just think that's not what love. That's not what I think love is. So love is dead. That's what they think, but they don't, because they're not doing that in their work to find out who they are and what their values are. They just don't believe in love because they just don't know what it is to them.
Okay, here's $1 million question then. What is love? What is love to you? How would you explain it?
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me.
Don't hurt me.
That's such a sad song.
No.
Okay, well, love is different for different people, right? If you're asking what it is to me, I would say it's a decision you make. Love is a decision you make to choose someone to go through this like absurd life with, you know? You can go through life, find how absurd it is and how chaotic it is, but you'll find someone who sees the same thing you do. You know, same outward look on things, and you're like, hey, should we walk down this path together? Yeah. And then you just end up experiencing things together, and it's a really beautiful thing. But being honest about how you view life is the first step to finding that.
That's beautiful. I think I would answer the question, but I don't think I know. I think that's been the biggest struggle for me, and that's why I ask people in these questions about love, and they think that want to hear their opinion. I don't know what love is. I don't think it's such a simple. Your answer is beautiful, and I think you're right. I think it's true. Like, it is a decision, but for me, my own answer, I don't know what it is. I think it's becoming more and more. I think what had happened was that I made the mistake of romanticizing love because of all the poets that I grew up on. And so I wanted that. And even the movies, you know, like I want like Eternal Sunshine, A Spotless Mind. I want that kind of relationship. And I see these things, but what you don't see in the movies is the other parts, the dead moments, the dead silences, and these decisions that you have to make in order to love someone. And so I think I was always looking for that love that felt like that feeling. And I've written about this many times about like how I think the society that we live in is moving away from romantic love to more traditional, practical love. And I think that's a mistake. And I will do whatever I can to claw at that wall just to stop it. But I think there needs to be a realization about what you want, like you said, to make a decision about what you want, and to understand that you can go through this life with someone and just like make the decision to love them. And I think that's a realization I'm making, and it's a very real realization, and that comes with a lot of like other questions on its own. But I think it's a beautiful kind of understanding that comes with just years of like just banging your head up against the wall, and then someone's like, you should probably stop doing that. You should probably stop banging your head up against that wall. But I think that's crazy. I think that's 100% true. I think the idea of love that you have, it's evolving always, and it's just dependent on the person you are. But I'm actually happy that we've gotten to a stage where we can actually like verbalize it, you know. And okay, here's a question then. Let's talk about that, from taking romantic love to an even more broader sense of love, and connection with other people. What do you think I mean by when I say living in love? To live in love, or like the art of living love. What do you think that means?